everyone, we're here at Solana Breakpoint in Abu Dhabi, and I am joined by GK Miller, who's a partner at Penrose Partners. G, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here today, Rachel.
So before we dive into some country specifics, tell me a little bit about Penrose Partners.
Yeah, Penrose is a digital asset advisory firm. We specialize in strategy, business development, and educational initiatives on the institutional side. We work with a lot of layer ones, layer twos, major stablecoin issuers, major exchanges, a couple custodians and asset managers, and then we also do public sector consulting. So our most anchor client on that side is the government of Bermuda. We currently serve as the digital finance advisors to the Ministry of Finance in Bermuda, but previously have consulted the Economic Development Department in the Ministry of Economy and Labor, and actually got our start up in Canada, where me and my two business partners founded the firm. Back in that day, we got our start with grants through the Canadian trade authorities, bringing Canadian startups down to Bermuda to explore the regulation and legislation down here.
Wonderful. So maybe let's dive a little bit deeper into Bermuda then. Why Bermuda when it comes to digital assets?
So Bermuda is fascinating because it was the first country in the world to have digital asset regulation. Back in 2018, they introduced the Digital Asset Business Act, later the Digital Asset Issuance Act. And since then, they've made iterative updates to both of those to include guidance on things like derivatives. They introduced the SCPS guidance, which is on single currency pegged stablecoins. And now they're essentially, exploring novel and innovative updates to AI, digital identity, so on and so forth. Bermuda's got a really fascinating approach to digital assets. It initially did it as a protective measure for its reinsurance industry. It's got a $3 trillion reinsurance industry. About 1/3 of every insurance dollar passes through Bermuda. It competes with New York and London. And the way Premier Burt says it is he introduced this legislation to help the innovative insurers there advance into digitization, and didn't initially plan to become a leader in digital assets, but today we're the jurisdiction with the most licensed companies of anywhere in the world, approaching almost 50 DABA licensed companies.
Wow, and for such a country with such a small population as well, that's really quite remarkable. And so how is that sort of being trickled down to the company level? Like what has the uptake been on the ground?
So again, 50 licensed companies, and we also have an innovative insurance framework. And so some of the exciting things we're seeing are companies getting licensed with both of those, the innovative insurance license and the DABA license. A great example of one of those is a Penrose portfolio company. It's called OnRe. It stands for On-Chain Reinsurance. They're actually here today at Breakpoint. They're backed by Solana and Rockaway X. They essentially have a yield-bearing stablecoin that generates yield from reinsurance premiums and collateral. We think that's a really prime example of how the digital asset and traditional sectors are beginning to combine.
Wow, that's super interesting. And with all this innovation that's already happening in this space, where do you think it's going to be moving next, given that it has a good regulatory framework, some innovation already in that convergence? What's next?
Also, a big initiative right now in Bermuda is around digital payments. So for context, Bermuda's been traditionally a cash-based economy. Either you've got cash or you pay with credit cards and wire transfers. And we see sometimes, depending on the bank or the payment portal that ones are using, anywhere between 3 to upwards of 7 or 8% fees are leaving the island to international intermediaries. So we think stablecoins are a perfect opportunity to help keep economic substance there on the island. So we're really driving the use of those across the institutional markets and reinsurance and banking, as well as SMEs. Because if you think about it from a small business perspective, if you're a mom and pop shop doing $1 million in revenue and losing that 7-8%, that can really be make or break. So we're doing a lot of work to drive adoption of digital payments and stablecoins on the island. Some of the ways we're doing that at Penrose is really through education and local adoption initiatives. And we've done private workshops with banks, reinsurers, local law firms, and now we're seeing institutional uptake of digital finance. And then in terms of small businesses, we partnered with the Bermuda Economic Development Corporation to do workshops for individuals and entrepreneurs. And we also host a really great conference every year called the Digital Finance Forum. This year in May, we accomplished what we refer to as the world's first fully licensed and regulated USDC airdrop. So in partnership with Circle and Coinbase, we gave 100 USDC away to all of our conference attendees for free, almost 50,000 USDC. And in the months leading up, had onboarded all of these local businesses, everything from coffee shops, souvenir stands, restaurants. And so all week long, everyone was paying for those goods and services using stablecoins. I'm actually here this week in Abu Dhabi with our mutual friends, Anthony Scaramucci and John Darcy from Salts and Skybridge Capital. We just announced the next iteration of our conference. It's going to be May 11th to 14th in Bermuda. So really hope to see you there and hope everyone watching comes as well.
So, I heard so many good things about that conference, and I was like, damn, it was the one that I missed from you. So I can't wait to attend next year and see the work that you're doing.
Yeah, and since that conference, Penrose has really taken it upon itself to live off of USDC in Bermuda. I pay my rent in Bermuda in USDC, buy my groceries in USDC. I only go to coffee shops that accept USDC. We're about to buy a moped in USDC. If I have to go to a shop that doesn't accept USDC, I make sure to pitch the business owner on the benefits of it. So that's the kind of work that we're doing there on the island.
Amazing. So that's really like top down and bottom up, which is great to hear. So thank you so much for everything. And I'll definitely be at your conference next year.
Thank you so much. And we hope that when you're there, we can have some exciting updates on how Bermuda continues to push the regulatory envelope. Again, we're looking at digital identity standards, and we think that, we've heard about it here all week, the coming trend of AI and artificial intelligence in financial services. We're working with another one of our partners, the Near Foundation, to explore regulatory frameworks that would classify AI agents as legal entities so that the reinsurance industry could then insure them, create economic substance, and make sure consumers are protected when AI are giving financial updates, information. So please come on down. We hope to have some exciting announcements there.
Amazing. Great speaking with you today, G. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Rachel. Really appreciate it.